Diaries of a Madman. Written by What Must I Do? Chapter 14. Instrumentalists and Fillies, Part 2. Thankfully, after the princess confirmed that I was decent, the doctors actually began to let me in without too many problems. Before, they did their best to get me to visit the vet first, even if they did let me in eventually. Unless I came in with Derpy, as I did that one time, or was dragged in as what happened with Pinkie. Anyway, Nurse Redheart led me away to a small room. AJ left me to cool my heels there as she headed back to the library. The doctor didn't keep me waiting long, at least. So, what seems to be the problem today, Nov? He was looking at a clipboard or something. I'm gonna go with these gaping holes in my back that you can see pretty easily. I commented. I had taken off the shirt when we got here. He looked up and noticed how fucked up my back was. Oh. Run through another forest? Nah. I got thrown out a window. Think you could patch me up? They don't call me Dr. Feelgood for nothing. I'll be back in a minute. He stepped out. 2 minutes later, he stepped in with a few rolls of gauze and whatnot. This shouldn't hurt much. Can you make it so it just does not hurt at all? Yes, I could. Now, sit still. He ran a cleaning pad or something down my back, which stung like fire. At least all the glass is out. He began to hum something as he started to roll me up in an impersonation of a mummy. It took me a minute to recognize the theme of Monster Mash. I began to hum it with him. When we finished, he said, There. Most of those are pretty small and should heal up quickly enough. What I rubbed on them should help. If you have any problems, just come on back. You got it, Doc. I don't suppose I get a lollipop for being a good patient? No, you don't. Head on out now, and apologize to whoever threw you out of the window. I'm hoping it's the other way around, but either way. I left the hospital. Fuck yeah, pony socialism, and started back to the library. I knocked on the door because I really didn't want Filly Twilight to freak out upon seeing me. Spike answered, looking behind him hesitantly. His eyes lit up when he saw me. Oh, thanks, Celestia, you're here. I forgot how much of a pain Twilight was as a filly. Come on in, man. Is she gonna freak out again? I don't think so. I know she threw you through the window, but I think Applejack talked to her. Good, I hope so. I entered to see Twilight surrounded by books. Literally. I mean, she built a book fort around herself and was reading another one. She doesn't seem that bad, I commented. She looked up at my voice and her eyes went wide. I ripped Spike from the ground and held him in front of me before she could do anything to me. He was relatively resistant to magic. You put my pet dragon down, she demanded, pulling herself from the fort. Pet dragon? Are you gonna attack me again? I asked, wielding Spike as a shield. Me? Attack you? You're the monster here. That's a matter of opinion. I was minding my own business when you threw me out the window. That really hurt, you know. She harumphed. Serves you right for being a monster. Don't you want to eat me? Not particularly. No, I mean, if you want to be eaten, I guess I could give it a try. Do you want me to eat you? Well, no. Does that mean you aren't here to attack me? I wasn't planning on it. Just because I'm different doesn't mean I'm evil. Nob, can you put me down? Spike asked, his arms crossed. Can you make sure Filly Twilight doesn't go apeshit on me? Look at her, Nob. She's more curious than anything now. I moved Spike out of direct line of sight between me and Twilight. She did look insanely curious and was hesitantly moving closer to me. I shrugged and set Spike down. Twilight let off a massive grin. God, that's adorable. You don't seem that bad, mister. What's your name? I'm Rome. We've met, but it's been a while. I sure don't remember you. Man, she really was terrible at social interactions as a filly. Do you know where Cadence or Shining Armor is? Are my parents? Are you the princess? I don't know where Cadence or Shining Armor. I've never met your parents either. The princess is probably in Camelot. We're in a small town near there right now. She gasped.
I've never been outside of Camelot before. Oh, are the books here that different?
I looked around the library and finally settled back down with her. You tell me. You're in the only library in town right now. You can read any book you want here. Just take 3 down at a time, and you're okay. She reared back and clapped her forelegs together, a happy smile on her face. She landed quickly, the smile dropping a bit.
Hey, why do you get to say what I can and can't read? Are you the librarian?
Yes, I am. As long as you don't make too much of a noise and don't make too much of a mess, you can stay here with your pet as long as you like. I can explain the whole thing here to your parents when they get here. Spike gave me a look. I winked at him. He just rolled his eyes. Twilight was busy giving me the happiest look I think I've ever seen from a pony in a while. She jumped up and hugged me. I wrapped my arms around her instinctively, holding her up.
Thank you, Mr. Librarian,
she shouted, hugging me. No problem, my dear. Books are there to be read by any pony, after all. I almost said anyone, but caught myself. No need to risk freaking her out anymore by grammar change. After a short moment, I set her down. She immediately ran back to her fort book and started looking over the titles.
That mare that was here only let me look at full books, but now you're here.
Her horn glowed and all the books settled back to their section on a low shelf. She trotted around the library looking for something.
Mister, where are the spell books?
Oh, Lord. I led her to where they were. Take any 3, Twilight. Just put them back as soon as you finish, and please don't cast any spells that might hurt you or any pony else.
Yes, sir.
She promptly grabbed 3 large books and dragged them off the shelf. She trotted over to the center of the library where the most light is and began to read. Keep an eye on her, Spike, I told her. He rolled his eyes, went upstairs to put his shirt on. I grabbed Twilight's pillow and blanket while I was up there and took them downstairs. Do you want to get more comfortable, Twilight? I asked, holding up a pillow. She looked up from her book and smiled upon seeing me with a pillow.
Yeah, thanks, mister.
She pulled the pillow from my grasp with weak magic and set it under her. I threw the blanket on top of her head. I heard her giggle and saw her horn light up from under it, giving her light. God, she's so adorable. What happened between then and now? And you said she was a problem. I said at Spike, smirking a bit.
Well, she was. You should have heard her whining when Applejack said she could only read the full books.
He shook his head.
She sure was a lot easier to put up with back then.
Dude, she called you a pet.
Well, I might as well have been one then. Newborn dragons don't require much. Feed them once a day and they're set. We can hardly be hurt, and we have just enough magic resistance that it takes a trained unicorn to manipulate us, even at that age.
Lucky you. Human babies are helpless when they're born, and they stay that way for a while. There's a good evolutionary reason for it. I just don't care enough to explain.
Just like I don't care enough to listen. So, we're just gonna leave her here?
Well, I'm not planning on leaving her. I don't want to risk her getting hurt attempting spells she can't cast just yet.
He snorted. This is Twilight we're talking about. You can stop her if you tried. And I don't really think there's a spell that she can't cast, other than maybe moving the sun or moon.
She wouldn't actually try that, would she? I mean, if Celestia and Luna were faking it, Twilight trying to move one of the two might end up with an exploded Twilight.
No, she respects the princesses too much to try it.
Good. I'd hate to tell her princess her pupil exploded because she was trying a spell that was too hard.
Love. Unicorns don't explode when they try too hard. They just can't cast the spell.
Well, that's boring. So what do you want to do for a few hours until Twilight gets better?
Psh, I'm out, dude. See you later.
With that, he left. I hate babysitting, I muttered.
Then it's a good thing there aren't any babies here.
Pinkie shouted, jumping out of somewhere she shouldn't have been able to. She still scares the hell out of me when she does that. Pinkie, this is a library. No shouting.
Knob, this place never has any customers. I've seen 3 ponies check out books in this place, and I come here to watch you sleep a lot.
That's really creepy.
I know. I mean, why do we even have a library if no pony uses it? Dr. Huff's the only pony I've seen come in here more than once. And where's Filly Twilight? I bet she's so cute.
I pointed the blanket. She's not going to recognize you, though. It's best to just get... Pinkie whipped the blanket off with a massive grin. She probably went flying out the window that was still broken from me flying out of it earlier. Twilight seemed to be having a panic attack. I got down next to her as Pinkie Pie jumped back inside.
That was so cool! Do it again! Do it again!
That just made Twilight freak out even more. I wrapped her around my arms. Shh, Twilight. It's okay. That's just Pinkie. Pinkie popped up right next to us, grinning like a mad at Twilight.
What's wrong?
She said in a voice that was way too loud. Twilight let off an adorable sound and huddled in my arms even more. I wrapped my wings around her to block Pinkie Pie off, and then pulled my head up. Pinkie, Twilight is not good in social situations. You remember how she was when she first got here? She was even worse as a filly. You're scaring her.
She just needs a party.
No, she doesn't. She needs to be left alone until the spell wears off. Get out and tell the others not to visit either, unless they promise to leave her alone.
But...
Out, Pinkie. She gave an overly theatrical sigh and did nothing to move me. She slowly walked to the door and looked back with sad eyes until I was able to glare at her hard enough for her to get the message. When she finally left, I lifted my wings. She's gone, Twilight. It's okay now. She slowly poked her head out of my arms and gave a quick look around. When she was sure that no one was lurking, waiting to try to talk to her, she let me go. I released her and stood back up.
Wow, mister. You sure are tall.
Not as tall as Celestia, though. Have you met her? Twilight nodded her head.
Yeah, I'm her personal student. I'm going to be the best unicorn ever.
With as much as you seem to be enjoying reading, it certainly seems like you might. If you need anything, you let me know. Just like that, her entire panic attack was over. She went back to reading, quick as you please. The blanket wasn't completely over her, but she did wrap it around herself. Pinkie was right, though. The library never did get used by just about anyone. Twilight kept records of there were around 50 books checked out since I got here. Half were from Cheerlee, the town's teacher. A few were for some stallion named Dr. Hooves, who never seemed to visit while I was here or awake. Derpy checked out a lot of really high-level science stuff. Anatomy, physics, math, chemistry, all that good stuff. What little of it the ponies had, at least. Rainbow Dash checked out several crappy fiction books. I tried reading through some of the boring shit she checked out and I just gave up. Fluttershy got a few of animal anatomy. A few others came in and got something on gardening. That's it. Although, I will happily admit that everyone that came in looking for something was able to find it very easily. Since there was never any real work to be done involving the library other than cleaning, I busied myself with catching up on my journals. I was right here when there was a knock at the door. I opened to find Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash, each wearing a massive smile. Are you going to bother her?
Of course not, Knob.
Rainbow Dash said.
We wouldn't do that.
I shook my head to Fluttershy, who was still wearing a smile. She saw my dead eyes. Her smile slowly disappeared. She gulped and said,
Well, we might say hi.
You can look at her, but don't stare. Don't talk to her. She'll freak out and I'll have to hold her again until you leave. Do we have an understanding? The both nodded and I let them in. Color me surprised, but they both held to it. They did just stare just a little bit, but Twilight was too absorbed by the book to notice. When they got done pretending to look around the library, they came back at me and let out some very quiet squeeze.
Oh, she's so cute.
Fluttershy whispered, glancing at Twilight occasionally. And she panics easily, I said. Go on now, you two. I got this covered. They both giggled and left, looking a few times.
You have some really weird friends, mister. I don't think they've ever seen a filly before.
Yeah, they are weird. Does it change that they're my friends? She didn't even look up from her book. Silence returned, aside the sound of my quill scratching the page and Twilight occasionally flipping a page with magic. I finished the general thing and started working on instructions for all sorts of stuff. Bombs, weapons, generators, alcohol, drugs, anything that ponies might one day need. I was planning on giving them all to Celestia when I couldn't think of anything else to add. If she was as wise as I thought she was, she would burn them without even looking at them. Nearly an hour later, Twilight finally said something.
I feel funny.
I looked up. Good funny or bad funny?
I don't know.
With each word, her voice changed, and she was back to herself at the last one. About time, I said. I returned to what I was writing.
It was a filly!
She exclaimed, looking at herself wildly.
How did that spell hit me?
I looked up. Fuck if I know. It hit my body, spread out, stopped on my wings, and shot right back at you. Then you freaked out and threw me through a window.
I remember that, but how?
Yeah, don't even apologize for attacking me. Magic, that's how. I don't think a filly version of you could pick me up and throw me like that.
No, how did the spell do that?
It's a simple telekinesis spell. How do you not know how that works?
I'm talking about the youngifying spell.
Jeez, calm down. Do I need to put you in timeout?
Don't make me throw you back out that window.
Oh, don't worry. It's already broken. I stopped. She opened her mouth. Because you threw me out of it? She closed her mouth, and after a moment she opened it again. And broke it with my back. You know, glass and blood everywhere.
Are you done?
It hurt pretty badly, too. Ruined a good shirt. Scared the piss out of some ponies outside. They finally thought I turned violent.
Now, can I get back to discussing the spell?
Fuck you too, Twilight. I don't know what there is to discuss. You cast it, it hit me, I was rejected, it hit you. You turned into the most adorable filly I've ever seen, and also happen to have a penchant for throwing innocent humans out of windows. And not so innocent ponies. She blushed a bit at that.
You thought I was adorable?
Yeah, your friends did too.
I remember them coming by, and I remember you holding me, protecting me from the pink demon.
That's fitting for Pinkie. So, are you done with spell testing for today? She was silent for a moment, just looking at me.
I'm sorry for throwing you out the window, love. I know you're not a monster, even if Filly me thought you were.
I got better, so no worries. So, what now? She was silent again until she finally said,
I guess we should figure out why this spell didn't work on you. You said it stopped at your wings?
Yeah. My guess is that it read all the capabilities and body parts that it saw, and I had some I have now that I didn't have as a kid, and I figured that it wouldn't make me younger.
That's what I was thinking. The other possibility is that you didn't exist in a world that had magic as a cult, and thus didn't have a spell to have any references for frame what you looked like. Either one seems possible.
Or it could be that the spell isn't intended to be used on someone else. Are you sure you read the book correctly?
This didn't come from a book. This is one of the most innate powers I seem to be getting. I'm almost positive it's supposed to be used on somebody else.
Try one of the girls. They're all here. I suggest Pinkie Pie. She'll be the easiest to keep in line as a filly. Pinkie's childhood life was very, very depressing. Apparently she didn't know what a smile was until she got her cutie mark. She would be easy to handle.
I suppose I owe her an apology anyway. She always likes sitting spells like this. I can do both at once.
She looked outside and noticed that it was getting dark.
It'll just have to be tomorrow, and I'm afraid that you shouldn't be anywhere near, just in case she reacts like I did.
Fair enough. I'm sure I can find something else to do. She looked down at the pile of stuff she had.
I suppose I should pick up this mess.
With a sigh, she got to it. Such is a life in Ponyville. It's actually really funny that Nav seems to be good with kids, despite his very... Is the word nihilistic? He's a very depressive person who doesn't care much for humans besides the fact that he is the only one there, and that he thinks all humans and said inventions or ideas are a net negative to the world. And so the fact that he loves children is wild to me, because he just doesn't seem the type. He seems the type to be like, hey, stop messing with the kid, and then fuck off, you know? So, it was cute getting this little experience. Who else are cute are my wonderfully adorable donators. Thank you to my wonderful Patreons, my tier 1s. Pony Entertainment, Micario, Lord High, Jason, Hyperlink, Chase the Master, Val the Kindness, Redeemer of Darkless, Nebula, Night and Game, Sword Brother, Mojo, Dunas, Portal, Steve, and Shadow Angel. A large thank you to my tier 2s, Captain Blue Shadow, Chaotic Mist, The Animated Ghost, DJ Max 2000, Elemental Wolf, H1 Wolf, King, Potato 20, Mr. Crazy Deacon, Solar Comet, 212 Trooper, Voyal Cod, G-Man 121 Garza, Mackenzie, McColes, Papa Nocturne, Papa Lennon, Cloud Zaza, Solus Eclipse, Sword Brother and Mordred, Artie Bright, Rihanna Dragonwolf, Steel, Spark Sticks, and Nobody. A large thank you to my previous 9 tiers, Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, Maverick, and User 1842. A large thank you to my current ones, Abyss Eclipse, and Silent Titan. I appreciate your support so freaking much, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.